Before we go any further, I need to say this clearly. If you're an overweight woman who's tried over and over again, if part of you wants to change, but another part of you is resisting it, if you feel frustrated with yourself, ashamed, confused, or tired, you are not broken. What you're experiencing is not a lack of discipline. It's not laziness. It's not you just don't want it bad enough. It's your subconscious and your nervous system doing exactly what it learned to do. Weight does not happen in a vacuum. Weight happens in context. And today, I want to walk you through the 5 layers of fear that keep women overweight or pull them back into the same body again and again. We're not talking about, surface level fear. I'm talking about the real fear your body has been responding to this whole time. And if any of this feels uncomfortable, just stay with me because discomfort is often the edge of truth. When most people hear fear, they think fear of the gym, fear of diets. But that's not the fear that keeps women stuck for years. The fear that keeps women trapped is a deep core fear. And there's 5 layers of that. And I'm sure that you're in one of them or more of them right now. Most women think they're afraid of weight loss because they have to exercise and diet and it's hard. But they're not. They're afraid of what weight loss represents. Fear isn't one thing, it's layered. And until you identify which layer you're stuck in, your body will keep pulling you back no matter how motivated you feel. As I go through these, don't try to fix anything, just notice where your body reacts. That reaction is information. Layer one is the fear of losing safety. This is one of the deepest layers, and it's the layer that almost nobody talks about, but it's the one that your body cares about the most. For many women, weight became an emotional armor, not consciously, not by choice, but by learning. At some point in your life, your body made an association. Being smaller is not safe. Maybe when you were thinner, you were sexualized, you were commented on constantly, you were watched more closely, you were touched without consent, you were expected to perform, please, or stay perfect. You were abandoned, betrayed, maybe emotionally exposed, and your body did what bodies do best. It adapted. It said, if I stay bigger, I'm less visible. If I stay bigger, I'm less targeted. If I stay bigger, I'm safer. That learning didn't happen, in your mind. It happened in your subconscious and in your nervous system. So now years later, you say, I want to lose weight. But your body says, no, last time we did that, something bad happened. And the nervous system, the subconscious will always win. That's why fear doesn't like show up as panic. It shows up as cravings. It shows up as exhaustion. It shows up as resistance, excuses, procrastination, or losing momentum for no logical reason. Think about how many times you've lost weight, you started feeling great, and you're looking good, and for no reason at all, you just fell off. That's not weakness. That's self-protection. That's your nervous system and subconscious saying, we're going into unsafe territory. Let's back up to where we're safe. If this is landing for you, this isn't something that you out diet. This is something that you teach your body is no longer true. Slowly, safety, and with support. Layer two is fear of what you will see when the weight is gone. And I don't mean physically. This layer is quieter, but it's just as powerful. Here's the fear most women never say out loud. What if I lose the weight and I still don't like myself? Because right now, weight is the explanation. It's the reason you give yourself for not feeling confident, for not feeling chosen, for not feeling happy, for not feeling at home in your body. And as painful as that is, it gives you certainty. Losing the weight means losing that story. And without the story, you're left with a terrifying question. If it's not my body, then what is it? What if you're still insecure? What if you're still unhappy? What if you still don't feel enough? You don't feel safe being seen? Then what? This fear keeps women stuck because weight becomes a buffer between them and a deeper truth. If part of you has been afraid that losing weight won't fix what hurts, you're not wrong. Weight alone never does. Identity work does that. Layer three is the fear of failure. This is the layer most women think they're stuck in, but it goes deeper than just, I'm scared to fail again. Failure just doesn't hurt emotionally. Failure rewires your identity. Every attempt that didn't, last taught your nervous system something. See, you can't trust yourself. You always fall off. How many times are you going to fail? You don't follow through. This is just who you are. So eventually, starting again becomes dangerous because starting means risking hope, risking effort, belief in yourself, and getting another identity wound. And at some point, your system decides that it's easier not to try than to prove that I can't. So staying stuck, even if painful, feels safer than hoping again. This is why motivation doesn't work long term. You're not unmotivated, you're protecting your sense of self. Layer number four is fear of losing belonging. This one runs deep. Fear of losing weight isn't just about visibility or pressure or maintaining results. For many women, fear of weight loss is the fear of what they might lose when they change. Because weight doesn't just shape your body, it shapes your relationships. When you lose weight, you don't do it in isolation. You don't do it inside, a vacuum. You do it in a system with your friends, your family, your partner, there's your workplace, your social dynamics. And here's the fear underneath the surface. What will change if I change? If I change, will I still belong? Right now, you share common ground. You bond over food, comfort, complaints, shared struggles, belonging and being the same. And that sameness creates safety. Losing weight just doesn't, change how you look. It changes how people relate to you. For some women, they fear being judged, being criticized, being watched, but others fear something quieter. What if I outgrow the room? What if my friends feel uncomfortable? My family feels threatened? My partner now feels insecure? My success highlights what others aren't ready to face? Suddenly, now your growth creates tension, and your nervous system is wired for connection. So it asks, is it worth risking belonging? And for many women, the answer unconsciously is going to be no. Here's something rarely said out loud. Some women stay overweight to protect relationships, not because they want to, but because change threatens balance. If you lose weight, will your partner still feel needed? Will your friends still feel equal? Will your family dynamics shift? Will you be treated differently? What if somebody pulls away? What if someone resents you? What if someone says you changed and they don't mean it kindly? For a nervous system that values connection over everything, staying the same feels safer than risking disconnection. This is why weight loss success can trigger self sabotage, such as plateauing and pulling back, accidentally falling off. Not because you don't want success, but because success threatens belonging. And to the nervous system, belonging is survival. So it asks, do we choose growth or connection? And unless safety is built inside success, the body would choose connection every time. Here's the quiet grief underneath this layer. Staying overweight may help relationships stay stable, but it also keeps you small. And over time, that creates resentment, disconnection from yourself, a sense of living a half life. You don't just lose weight when you change, you reclaim parts of yourself that you've been postponing. That work isn't to burn to the work isn't to burn the bridges. The work is to become safe enough inside yourself that you don't need permission to grow. You don't abandon yourself to keep others comfortable. You can hold connection and expansion at the same time. That's not something that willpower teaches. That's identity work. That's why real transformation has to include relationships, in your nervous system and your identity, not just food and exercise. Because success doesn't, have to cost you your people, but staying stuck will always cost you yourself. So part of you been holding back because you're afraid of who you might lose when you do. That's not weakness. That's loyalty. And loyalty needs to be honored before it can be released. Layer five is the fear of success. And this is the layer that shocks people because we're taught that success is the goal, that everyone wants it, that once you're there, everything feels better. But for many women, success doesn't feel safe, it feels threatening. And here's why: success isn't reward, it's exposure. We're taught to think of success as reward, but to the nervous system, success is exposure. When you succeed, you don't just get results, you lose invisibility. When you're overweight, you can blend in, you can avoid attention, you can move through the world with less scrutiny. When you lose weight, people notice, people look, people comment, people form opinions. Your body is no longer neutral territory. It becomes public space. And if at any point, in life, being seen led to harm or shame, your nervous system learned visibility equals risk. So success isn't interpreted as relief, it's interpreted as danger. Success means that there's no place to hide. failure has a strange kind of cover. When you're struggling, you're allowed to be unfinished, to be overlooked, to be underestimated, success removes that cover. When you succeed, you expect it to stay there. You expect it to maintain. You expect it to, not fall back. And that creates pressure that most people never talk about, because success means if I lose this, everybody's going to see, everybody's going to talk about it. For somebody whose nervous system associates loss with shame, success feels like standing on a cliff. Success creates surveillance. This is part of the uncomfortable, truth. When your body changes, it becomes monitored. People ask, what are you doing? How did you do it? Are you still doing that thing? You've lost so much weight, don't gain it back. Your body becomes a topic. Your choices become observed. And suddenly, what once was private becomes public. And for a nervous system that values autonomy and privacy, that feels invasive. Success removes, the right to struggle quietly. And this is the radical truth. When you're struggling, you're allowed to be human. But when you succeed, you're expected to be superhuman. Everybody looks at you like you're at that next level. We expect you to hold it together, to not backslide, to not complain. Success removes the permission to struggle out loud, basically. And for some women who already carry pressure, that can feel unbearable. Here's the part no one names. Success required you to live as the version of you that worked, not sometimes, but all the time. You can't visit success. You have to become it. And that means new habits, new boundaries, new standards, new self-concept. Success isn't an outcome, it's an identity that you have to wake up as every day. And if your nervous system isn't ready to hold that identity, it will pull you back to what feels familiar. Success ends the fantasy of someday I'll do it. Like, this one is subtle. As long as success is in the future, it's safe. You can imagine it, you can dream about it, you can promise yourself that one day you're going to get there. But when success arrives, there's no fantasy left. There's just reality. And reality demands responsibility. Success removes the comforting story of the, next week, next month. And for some women, unconsciously, they choose to stay in the dream rather than to face the responsibility of arrival. So when some women self-sabotage after progress, it's not because they don't want success. It's because success triggers exposure, surveillance, pressure, responsibility, identity collapse. The body isn't rejecting success, it's rejecting being unsafe. The solution isn't to avoid success, it's to redefine it. Success has to become safe, sustainable, not performative, not monitored, not fragile. When safety comes first, success stops feeling like a threat. It becomes a place that you can rest, not perform. So a part of you has been pulling back, just as things start working. It's not because you're afraid to win. It's not because, you just don't have it in you. It's because no one ever taught your body how to feel safe once you do. And that's not something that you force, that's something that you build. So before you click away, I want you to do one thing: not take action, not make a promise, not decide anything. Just notice something. If you recognize yourself in any of those 5 layers, not just one, maybe several, that's not a problem. That's information. Because here's the truth I want to leave you with. You cannot think your way out of a nervous system pattern. You can't diet your way out of an identity. And you cannot white knuckle your way through fear that was built to protect you. That kind of change doesn't happen alone. So don't leave this video telling yourself, I just need to try harder. Instead, ask yourself this honestly: which layer of fear has actually been running me? And if you want support unpacking that without pressure, without forcing, without another plan, there's a link below. It's not a commitment, it's not a pitch, it's a conversation. Protection kept you alive, but it doesn't get to choose who you become.